Hello, beautiful people. My name is Kristen. Thank you for stopping by my channel to hear some reviews and thoughts on some middle grade books. And I'll just go ahead and disclaim up front, they were all amazing. I would recommend to somebody each of these books for different reasons. So if you have a middle grade reader, or you yourself as even an adult like to have a really sweet story, that what I find is reading middle grade really just kind of does that palate cleansing, that kind of refreshing, that kind of massaging almost of my brain, just to restore and renew and to remember some of the simple joys of reading. These were great books. On my series, I got 2 more books read of the Brandon Sanderson's The Evil Librarians. Basic idea of this book is that librarians are evil, trying to basically wipe out everybody and everything. And the superpowers of those who are fighting this are things like the unnatural awesomeness of falling down, or can't stay awake, or like this is definitely geared towards like a 12-year-old sense of humor. But sometimes it's okay to be engaged in a 12-year-old sense of humor. So when you are ready for that kind of adventure, there is a lot of flying spaceships and going in and out of dimensions and having a bunch of different glasses that can do a bunch of different abilities to laser shoot or fly or invisible or translate or do all these magic powers. There are some pretty fun dynamics of characters that you're trying to sort out, the different kind of missing parents, or what's going on with the friends that can't seem to communicate because too many things are getting in the way of that. So a lot of fun when you're ready for that kind of silliness. And I read books 2 and 3 in this. I think there are 5, maybe 6. I think it's 6. In series, last year I read Chains, which is an award winner by Laurie, Halse, Sanderson. And then this year I read Forge and Ashes, and this is the complete trilogy. And this is set in the American Revolution. It's following mostly 2 black slaves who are escaping, trying to find their escape. Are they going to align with rebels or British, or be on their own? How are they going to survive in the wilderness? Are they going to deal with the fact that they're runaway slaves? And there's some, if they get to the right places, there's the right resources, but they just have all these different challenges. And it was magnificently written. It was very compelling, especially considering the seriousness and heaviness of this topic. And yet it is written where I would be okay with a 9 to 11-year-old reading these books and following along. I particularly like this one that was following the boy actually going into the military to try to get what he needed, food and survival and resources, and trying to buy some freedom. But it was just really, really touching. It was a really touching series, and I totally highly recommend it. Also highly recommend the one that was the pick for middle grade March as the book of middle grade March, Plotting the Stars, Moongarden, Michelle Berry. This is a retelling of The Secret Garden, which, if you're not familiar with The Secret Garden, it is a young girl who has to be kind of shipped off to spend time with an uncle, and finds a crippled boy and a locked up, deteriorating garden, and tries to rework it and figure out whose it was and why it is in decay, and what does it mean to restore it. And this one is on the moon. So this is, again, garden locked away, characters that are quirky and have disabilities or things that are problematic about them, and characters that come she comes and unlocks all that and tries to figure out what's going on in this moon colony. Already put the other books in this kind of, I don't know if it's a series of the same characters, but there's other gardens in different locations. So I'm totally going to be reading those. Beautiful little story. I also picked up my next book of Elsewhere. This is The Strangers, Jacqueline West. This is a story of predominantly a little girl who goes into paintings and portraits in a house and actually gets to explore and interact with whatever those paintings and portraits are. And some of the characters that have been locked away in the portrait are trying to do harm and be up to no good. And there are mysterious magical cats that also go in and out and kind of help lead the way or become helpers. And then there are also characters that were good characters who got kind of trapped into paintings, and those have to be rescued or find their way out and way home. And it is a fun adventure. This one in particular is centered around Halloween and centers around kind of the themes of trying to sneak characters out and maybe dress them up to go out to get things done. So it's a lot of fun. It's a very cute book. I highly would recommend this one. Another series that is super engaging is Pages & Co. Anna James. This one is The Map of Stories. This is the third in a series of stories of Tilly and Oscar, who are book wanderers. They get to go into books and into the pages, and actually they can't permanently change stories, but there are source books that maybe they could, and so some people may want to do harm to books. And so these two young adventurers are just going to save all the books and save all the world. And this particular book is dealing, they're in London and they have to go to America to the book reserves and save the source books there. And so they're traveling back and forth between the UK and America into the, our deep literary works. And so it's fun also if you are familiar with a lot of classics, or if you have a young reader that gets introduced to these classics, maybe they would hear about it and be intrigued and want to read a young edition for whatever classic they learn about. Kate Dicamillo's The Puppets of Spelhorst. So Spelhorst is a gentleman's name, and he owns these puppets that he had bought, and he bought them. He only wanted the girl puppet because it reminded him of his ex-wife that had passed away. And so he kind of neglected the other ones, and then he passes and the puppets are left on their own to try to kind of find their purpose again, find their home again, find some way to live out their reason for being, right? And so they're trying to figure out, what part of story am I? And it's just a lovely short little telling of these characters, of trying to figure out, how do we get to be who we are, and where is our purpose and where is our usefulness as puppets in this world, and then of course applying that larger to life. We are all on that path of trying to figure out exactly the usefulness of who we are. So there you have it, the middle grade books that I read for middle grade March. Have you read any of these? Do you have a favorite out of them? What's your favorite middle grade that you have read? Because I'm always looking for new ones. Hope that you have a beautiful, wonderful day. Like and subscribe. I will talk to you again soon. Take care.